Hi, I'm John Johnson. I'm with Fieldcraft Survival. I spent some time in Ranger battalions. Afterwards, I started working for the intel community, specifically as a contractor and then eventually as an employee for a little while, up until about a little bit less than a year ago. Also during that time, I've also been doing a lot of competition shooting, and that's really where my passion is specifically with pistol and carbine. A lot of USPSA, a lot of tactical games, a lot of running guns and things like that. And so I really like to kind of talk about competition shooting and how it relates to just any other kind of shooting, whether it be defensive shooting or tactical shooting. Because at the end of the day, it's really all about just fundamentals and just applying those at speed in a lot of different ways. I'm at about 7 yards for this drill, so pretty close. The whole importance of target transitions is you got multiple targets you got to shoot at. And I want to be able to do it fast and efficiently. A lot of times you might hear it more of like a defensive shooting class or more of like a tactical class. You might see something like getting several different sight pictures. So what I mean by that is, like, if you're shooting at a bad guy, you're going to want to keep shooting at that bad guy until you don't need to shoot at that bad guy anymore. Right? Like, that's the whole point. But in a different case, in order to train a certain fundamental, which is target transitions, we're going to use this particular drill to kind of show you a good way to do it fast and efficiently and still positively identify things that you want to shoot at. Well, I've just got these two targets here, and I know I'm going to be shooting at both of them. The first and most important thing I need to think about is, well, I need to pick a spot out on the target. So I got to use my eyeballs, my vision, to actually pick a spot somewhere, a small spot preferably, somewhere on the target, just like everything we always talk about with being target focused. So in this case, I have these two targets. I've got the little red heart here and the red heart there. Those are going to be my 2 points of aim. Another thing to think about is, much like we talked about with maintaining a good stance and good structure, I'm also taking this into consideration with these two targets. So for me, if I know I'm going to be stationary, I'm just going to be standing right here and all I got to do is shoot at these two targets, well, I'm going to set myself up for success a little bit. So I'm going to have my toe generally pointed at the left edge, well, the left side of the target here, more like kind of like in the C zone, D zone region. And then on this target over here, I'm going to be taking my right toe and doing the same thing. So I almost have like this cone of fire, so my hips are oriented at both targets. I'm kind of tensing myself up a little bit so I don't have to have a whole bunch of independent swing from my hips and my torso. So that's another thing to consider. The drill is a simple transition drill. This is like a good introduction to understanding target transitions, because like if you're at a competition or if you're in a situation where you've got multiple targets, you're going to have to do a lot of things. But the most important thing is picking that spot. And so in this case, the drill is, I'm going to be starting on this left target here. I'm going to start aimed in, and then on the buzzer, I'm going to fire one round, and then I'm going to transition to the target on the right. And I want my gun to stop on the spot that I'm looking at. That's something that is pretty important to think about, because when we're trying to go really fast, which is a lot of fun and really cool, and it's really cool for the internet, it's also a really good idea to be good at it. And so a thing that I've had to recently learn is to be a little bit more patient when I transition to the next target. So what I mean by that is, like, I want my dot to stop on what I'm actually looking at. And I also need to think about getting my eyes to that spot before my gun gets there. That's another important thing. Instead of trying to track the dot across the whole, course of fire, my goal is to engage my target as I need to, shift my vision, bring the gun to what I'm looking at, and overlay the dot to what I'm looking at on that target. Go ahead and go live. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start this drill. There's going to be 3 iterations of it. I'm going to start aimed in on the target on the left. On the beep, starting aimed in on the target on the left. On the beep, fire one round, transition, and just hold. We're going to do that about 3 times, and then we're going to go up from there. Okay? So let's go ahead and do it. See what I get. Set it up again. And one more time. So that's the first iteration. As you can see, I only fired a round on the target on the left, picked a spot, moved the gun over to the target on the right, and then just held, didn't fire. And now I'm just making sure that my dot is stabilized and it's stable on the spot that I picked on that target on the right. Now I'm going to start aimed in on the target on the left like usual. And this next iteration, on the tone or on the beep, I'm going to transition and then fire on the right. So aimed in on the left, don't fire on the beep, transition, fire on the right. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, do it again. And one more time. Okay, sweet. So that was that second part of the drill. So now we're going to bring it all together. This third and final iteration of it is same thing, start aimed in on the left, on the beep, fire one on the left, transition, fire one on the right. And then once we do that, we'll go ahead and go down range and take a look and talk about some of the things we saw. So here we go. Okay, set it up again. And one more time. Perfect. So that was that drill. Let's take a look at it real quick. So this target is already pretty shot up from previous shooting, but as you can see on this one on the right, everything was I'm pretty happy with this. Everything was kind of right where I wanted it. But a thing that you also might notice was something I forgot to do was compensate for the height overbore. So the first few iterations, my rounds were impacting pretty low down there, but then I was like, oop, I gotta pick my spot a little bit higher because I want my rounds to impact there. So then I just aimed a little bit higher and got my rounds where I wanted them. But that's it, that's the drill. It's just a simple target transition drill to get you kind of warmed up and primed to start doing more complicated stuff. Some other drills that are pretty good for this would be like an L-Pres drill where you're firing, 2 rounds per target, and you do some more extra things like doing reloads thrown into that. But this is a really good one to kind of show you the basics of how to do it. Some things you might see that would be bad is if your round is like trending to the left or to the right of the target that you transition to, meaning that you've probably fired too soon or too late. That's something you got to think about. So really, yes, we want to go fast, but we also want to be accurate. So you want to bridge those things together. And the best way for me that I've discovered recently in order to kind of achieve both of those is I have to tell myself to let my gun stop on the spot that I pick. So just take that fraction of a second to let your dot stabilize or let your gun stop on that target that you transition to, so that way you can ensure that you're getting accurate hits where you want them. So for example, like if you're shooting like a steel match where you got a bunch of steel and you want to go blazing fast and you got to shoot all these targets, well, it's not really going to do you a whole lot of good if you just go super fast and you just start missing targets because you're more concerned with going fast, when in reality you need to be picking those spots and letting your gun stop. Okay, so another way that you can build on this drill, if you find like you're starting to master that drill and it's becoming really easy, then you can add on to that. So instead of starting on the left and transitioning to the right, you can switch it up. You can do right to left, or you can start adding more rounds. So in this case, I'll demo. Now I'm going to do 2 rounds per target. So I'm going to start aimed in on the right, fire 2 rounds, transition to the left, fire 2 rounds. And I'll do that a couple times going from both directions. So let's start there. Aimed in on the right, 2 rounds, transition, fire 2 rounds on the left. Stand by. Okay, let's go the other direction, left to right this time. 2 and 2. So if you want to add on to that, you can do maybe say this next iteration, starting on the left, fire 1 round to the chest, 1 round to the chest on the right, and then head, head. So chest, chest, head, head. Some might call this a box drill. We're just going to do 1 round iterations for this one. All right, let's do that one more time. Need to speed it up. That second transition kind of sucked. Okay, perfect. So if you notice, after I fire that round, I'm already moving on to the next target. Like I'm not getting like a second and a third sight picture on the target I just shot because I don't need to anymore. The whole point of this drill is to get my eyes moving and transition over to the next target. I'm not going to shoot this time, but typically what happens is once gun goes bang, I'm already looking and bringing the gun over to the next spot on the other target I'm looking at. Once that goes bang, I'm picking the next spot, moving on, and so on and so forth. So I'm really trying to speed up the time between my transitions, because that's where I'm going to make up my time. I can be shooting calmly if I need to, but in order to make up that time difference, I can be moving my eyes and picking that next spot on the target. That's target transitions. It's something important, something you need to work on. You can practice this in dry fire too. And it's going to be really important for if you decide you want to get into competition shooting or just shooting in general. It's a really good thing to practice, and it's important because it's one of the fundamentals. So thanks for watching, and let's get back onto the next drill.